That seems good enough. You, therefore, are the sources of trouble in human affairs. On you lies the blame of public adversities, since you are ever attracting them. You by whom God is despised and images are worshipped. It should surely seem the more natural thing to believe that it is the neglected one who is angry, and not they to whom all homage is paid. Or most unjustly they act if, on account of the Christians, they send trouble on their own devotees, whom they are bound to keep clear of the punishments of Christians. But this, you say, hits your God as well, since he permits his worshippers to suffer on account of those who dishonor him. But admit first of all his providential arrangings, and you will not make this retort. For he who once for all appointed an eternal judgment at the world's close does not precipitate the separation, which is essential to judgment before the end. Meanwhile, he deals with all sorts of men alike, so that all together share his favors and reproofs. His will is that outcasts and elect should have adversities and prosperities in common, that we should have all the same experience of his goodness and severity. Having learned these things from his own lips, we love his goodness, we fear his wrath, while both by you are treated with contempt, and hence the sufferings of life, so far as it is our lot to be overtaken by them, are in our case gracious admonitions, while in yours they are divine punishments. We indeed are not the least put about. For, first, only one thing in this life greatly concerns us, and that is to get quickly out of it. And next, if any adversity befalls us, it is laid to the door of your transgressions. Nay, though we are likewise involved in troubles because of our close connection with you, we are rather glad of it, because we recognize in it divine foretellings, which, in fact, go to confirm the confidence and faith of our hope. But if all the evils you endure are inflicted on you by the gods you worship out of spite of us, why do you continue to pay homage to being so ungrateful and unjust, who, instead of being angry with you, should rather have been aiding and abetting you by persecuting Christians, keeping you clear of their sufferings? So I think this would summarize the concept of Job. And the concept that Jesus says in the gospel, where he says the sun shines on the good and the bad, the rain pours on the righteous and the unrighteous, the unjust and the just. And of course, we see in Hebrews 12:7 that all sons of God are chastised. And then we also see in 1 Peter 3, I believe, that everybody will suffer. Christians and non-Christians will equally suffer. But if you're suffering when you're not in sin, it is for righteousness' sake. Because you're sharing, as the gospel says and as Paul says, you are partakers and sharers in the sufferings of Christ. But if you are in sin and suffering falls upon you, then you should be repenting. But if you're not in sin and suffering falls upon you, take it with joy, take it with gladness, take it with a clear conscience that you are sharing in the sufferings of Christ, and that God's glory will be manifest through it one way or another.